Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for October 29th, 2024. Well, hope everyone had a good restful evening and everyone is excited for today because the wait is over. Big tech reports begin today, and boy, do we have a lot of earnings coming our way this morning and this afternoon, so buckle up. It could be a wild day. So how about we take a look at what happened overnight? First off, Asian markets last night mostly went up. Shanghai was just a little bit lower, but Hong Kong, South Korea, India, Japan and Australia all had a little bit of increase, relatively modest, 0.52, 0.49%, kind of like that, while Shanghai lost 1.08%. If we take a look at European markets this morning, we also have some modest gains going on over there after their HSBC stock moving higher and doing a $3 billion corporate buyback. We have the DAX up 0.30%. We have the FTSE up 0.11%. And we have the CAC up 0.54%. So we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. Then if we look at U.S. futures this morning, we have a little bit of a mix. Right now we've got Dow futures down 42 points, 0.10%. S&P 500 futures down just 1 point, 0.02%, and the NASDAQ futures up 19 points at 0.09% as we wait for these big data points here today. If we were to take a look at bonds here this morning, well, our bonds continue to be a problem for us. We see the 2-year bonds moving up to 4.14%, the 10-year bonds moving up to 4.29%, and the 30-year bonds at 4.54%. We still have the bond market seriously disagreeing with the bullishness that we're seeing in this market right now. Something is going to have to break here eventually, and I don't know if it'll be the stock market or if it'll be the bond market first, but we'll want to be watching carefully for those possibilities and being prepared. If we take a look at oil this morning, we have oil trying to bounce back up just a little bit today after that really rough day yesterday on oil. Oil's just a little tiny bit higher. Oil futures up 70 cents here at the moment at 68.07 a barrel. Brent crude is up 80 cents at 72.22 a barrel. And natural gas, after a really rough day yesterday, moving on down today, down almost 7 cents here on natural gas. If we take a look at precious metals here this morning, well, precious metals continue to march higher. Gold moving up at $2,762 an ounce, up $6.40 an ounce in the gold futures. We've also got silver moving up this morning here, trying to break back through some resistance. We have copper up this morning, but right now it doesn't seem like it's helping the copper ETF all that much, but it's up just a nickel here today. Platinum is up, and palladium is continuing its really big push to the upside here on palladium, up $16.10 an ounce this morning. So precious metals continuing to run to the upside. If we take a look at cryptos are having a huge warning again this morning after a following through from a big day yesterday. Right now, Bitcoin up $1,482 a coin. Ether is up $122 a coin, 0.91%. So really zooming there in some of the cryptos, and we're green across the board here on those cryptos this morning. Really having a great day. So let's take a look at what's going on here in our indexes. So how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Please forgive me, I've got a little bit of an allergy issue that I'm dealing with here this morning. You'd think that'd be over by now, but it's been so dry and windy around here. I'm still suffering from a little bit of allergies from time to time, so bear with me. If we were to take a look at these indexes, we want to look at these indexes for what they are, not for what we want them to be. We want to look at them without a bias, and we want to try and figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. So first off, here in the diamonds, you can see yesterday's nice pop that we had here lifting up. We ended up with just an inside day, and that bearish engulfing candle in there, we ended up with an inside day, so no follow through to that bearish engulfing. And if there was any good news here, what we did is we reclaimed this area of price support. Now, if we can continue to find that bullish inspiration today, then look for a push. We'll see if we can break the top side of that candle and see if we can push up into this resistance here in the chart. Breaking through that resistance in the chart, I'm going to suggest we come right up into here, and then of course beyond that point we're attacking all-time highs and blue skies above in the diamonds. Unfortunately, we have just a little bit of bearishness going on here in the Dow futures at the moment, pushing down here at the moment. So we'll want to watch that carefully as that occurs. We'll want to be watching this little area right here. If we break our support here this morning, pushing down into that low will be important. Now, breaking down below there will be probably a little bit of fear coming into the Dow, because we could come down to the bottom side of that little support area. Well, not little, it's pretty substantial support area. We could come down to test the bottom side of that, and slipping below that, you can see this next area of price support I've got marked in the chart. So watch carefully for those possibilities, and with the amount of earnings that we have today, that is certainly a possibility. As a matter of fact, we've had a couple here already this morning. Pfizer reporting and popping up nicely here this morning on its report, and McDonald's has already reported and looking just a little bit lower here on the old Mickey D's. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on those. SPY this morning. Well, as we saw yesterday, big gap up, but we couldn't hold on to it. We just kind of faded then throughout the day on relatively low volume, and it probably is just the hurry up and wait for the big tech reports. There's so much anticipation on these big tech reports. The hype is just remarkable. But if we take a look at here, we did push back up, and we broke through that resistance and then ended up sinking just below that. And you can see this morning trying to give a little bit going in here today, trying to push back up and retest that. So if the bulls can find inspiration, I think first off now we need to break the high of yesterday's big gap up, and then we can start pushing up to see if we can deal with this resistance here in the chart, and then of course all-time highs. And with big tech reports and the number of reports today, that is easily possible. So we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. And remember, those big tech reports are after the bell. So whatever happens, be prepared for some big gaps in the market tomorrow. The possibility exists we could have a big gap up in the markets or a big gap down. So roll the dice and decide which way you want to play that. For me, I'm not going to mess with those big techs at all. I think there's too much risk in them at the moment. Now, if we take a look at the bearish side of this, well, you can see if we continue to push to the downside, we could start progressing back down through some of these lows here in the chart, pressing back down. And if the bears were to really get going, then maybe down here to catch this support. And you can see this is a pretty nice support right here on the chart, price action support in there. If that were to fail, then I think we'd probably raise a little bit of concern here in the market, start pushing down maybe toward this level here in the chart. We're likely to catch something in here in between temporarily, but watch that carefully here on the SPY. Our QQQ continues to be in a very bullish pattern, just like the SPY, in a very bullish pattern, but we've just got this uncertainty of these tech reports. And as you can see, the diamonds popped up big time yesterday, popped up, tagged this resistance I have marked in the chart, and that resistance comes back over here. So we tagged it and then just kind of drifted the rest of the day. You can see we're still in a very bullish pattern, and if the bulls can find inspiration today, then I would look for a retest of that area up there in resistance to see if we can pop through. If we can get through there, then we're going to be reaching out for the all-time highs in the QQQ, and I got to tell you, they want this so bad. I mean, they can't hardly stand it. They want it so bad. So of course, with big tech earnings reports, is it possible? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think tomorrow morning we could gap above that area on these big tech reports, as long as they don't disappoint. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration today, and we do happen to have some disappointment in those big tech reports, let's take a look. If the bears push this down through this support, we'll be right here into this upside trend. Pretty good area to grab some support off of. But if we slip beyond that, you can see we've got a good little price support area right in here that we could test. And breaking down below there, you can see we've got all of that support across here on that line. Breaking down below there would probably raise some concern in the market, and we might be reaching down into some of these levels in the chart. And then if we take a look at our Russell, and by the way, I think it is just as equally possible that we gap up tomorrow and gap big to new record highs, or we gap this down pretty substantially if there's a disappointment in those big tech reports. If we take a look at IWM had a great day yesterday. And one of the things you'll notice is that you have to have a pretty rough day in NASDAQ for IWM to catch much attention. IWM had a good move to the upside, so we'll want to watch this carefully. Got a little bit of pop and drop going on here in the pre-market on it. If the bulls can continue to find that inspiration here to push to the upside, then I would be looking for this resistance right in here. Can we stretch up there? Can we grab that resistance and even pop through it? We did pop through it temporarily here last time, and we'll have that opportunity to push right on through there. And then of course, if we can get through that, then we're looking at 2021, 2022 highs here in the market on our way to some of those high prints. But here in IWM, we also run that risk if we were to stumble in anything today, pull back, breaking back down below this support, creates that problematic lower high here in the chart. So watch that carefully. If we don't find that bullish inspiration today, we might push back down, test the low of that candle there, and then push on down to retest these lows in recent lows here in the chart. Breaking below there, we'd come back down into this area of price support, and that potential kind of flat upside trend could be engaged here, so watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our VIX. Interestingly enough, yesterday, as the market was zooming to the upside, we had the VIX rising just a little bit. So with the VIX showing a little bit of concern in here, it may be just that anticipation of these earnings reports raising that concern. We'll want to be watching that carefully, but you can see we do have that potential of a higher low coming in the VIX, and that's always something you have to worry about if we get that higher low, that's where real selling can come in. But with those big tech reports, we also have that situation where the gaps here in the market could change everything really quickly. So if the bulls were to find inspiration here today, we need to break that little upside trend, pushing this back down into this area of price support, see if we can hold down in here. Now remember that price support's right across here, so we have this little range in here that we could grab some support off of. And if the bears were to find inspiration here today, then a push back up to test this little resistance right in here. Popping that, I'm going to suggest that we come up through here, and then of course past that point it gets really sketchy because we can move quickly in fear. I think it's going to take some big tech stumbling for that to occur, but something to watch. If we take a look at our T2122, we can see how much yesterday, even with that big pop to the upside, boy, we just didn't get a whole lot done here. T2122 at the end of the day ended up fading back because we had some selling that came in at the end of the day. So interesting chart here. If the bulls find inspiration today with all of these earnings, there is certainly upside potential here for them to get going. It's interesting that about 10 minutes before the market closed, our T2122 was just up here, just above 50%, which meant we had kind of about we were straddling the fence here. And then that last 10 minutes of the day, there was that selling that came in and brought us right back down here in the chart. So if the bears were to find inspiration today, you do want to note that we don't have as much room to the downside, but we do have room to the downside if those bears want to push. So keep an eye on that. Our T2108 had a pretty good day yesterday. We're still below 50% in here, and we're still below this little price resistance area of the chart, but we had a good day pushing up. It wasn't fantastic, but we had a good day to the upside. So today could be anything. If those bulls find inspiration, I would look for a break of that 50% area, and this resistance here in the chart maybe pushing on up to these next levels of resistance to see how we can deal with those in the chart. If the bears were to find inspiration today, then watch this low here, and then that possibility that we could come down into this next area of price support. This is the percentage of stocks above the 40-day, so it is a little bit of concern heading into these big tech reports that we haven't been able to get that back above 50%. Our T2107 percentage of stocks above the 200-day had a better day yesterday, pushing up, and as you can see, breaking back through this resistance, still holding well above 50% here in the T2107. So if the bulls can continue to find inspiration in here, let's look for these resistance levels up here to be tested if they can push on through. If the bears were to find inspiration here today, maybe a retest of this low would be possible, and then we'd start looking down into this range for those next areas of price support. And our T2101 was a little bit concerning yesterday because the breadth of the market, you probably saw it in volume, the breadth of the market, while we were zooming, it was like an engineered gap in the morning, and then we pretty much went nowhere. You can see that our breadth in the market actually pulled back on that buy wave yesterday. So watch that carefully. Now remember, we are starting to come out from under corporate buyback blackouts, so corporate buybacks could start coming in as soon as these companies report. About 48 hours later, they can begin their corporate buyback activity, so that should help improve breadth here. But watch this carefully. What we don't want to see is, we don't want to see, if you're a bull anyway, we don't want to see that breadth turning up on a bearish wave. So keep a close eye on that. And then if we take a look at our economic calendar here for today, our economic calendar, well, is going to be kind of a little bit busier day today. So first thing this morning, we're going to be dealing with international trading goods numbers here today. International trading goods right now, they're suggesting a negative 95.8 billion, a little bit of an increase over last time. But you know what the market has been doing is stuff like this. We just don't care. We have decided it doesn't matter as long as big tech can do its thing. So keep an eye on that. It should be a market moving event. Lately it has just been rather ignored. If we take a look at retail inventories here today, and then our consensus estimate here on wholesale inventories is for those to decline to a 0.1 from a 0.2. We're then going to get our case Shiller numbers here. We're not getting any consensus estimate in here, which is kind of odd. No consensus estimate on the home price. So watch that carefully. They're looking at the 20 city year over year adjusted coming down to 5.2%. So watch that carefully. And then we've got home price index, and they're looking for that to come in at 0.1. It was flat with last time. That's what they're hoping for anyway. We've got consumer confidence. They're looking for that to increase to 91.1 from a 98.7, showing a little bit of confidence boost in there on the consumer side. We'll see. I think there's a little bit more concern that consumers aren't as happy as we're trying to make them out to be. If you take a look at the job openings report here today, this could be really critical. We've been kind of sensitive to jobs, so keep an eye on that. They are looking at this to decline, and that would be a good thing, and maybe even relieve some of the pressure in the bonds if this were to come in light. If this comes in strong, look for those bond yields to go up and the market not to like it all that much. And then, of course, we're going to be taking a look at some bond auctions here today. As you look into Wednesday, remember, guys, we've got an ADP report, mortgage applications, ADP report, a GDP report, Treasury buyback numbers. In here, we're going to have pending home sales and a petroleum status, with some bond auctions and all our normal stuff here on the day. If we take a look at our earnings calendar here today, well, we've got a busy one, and everyone, there's no way I can cover the number of earnings here today that we will be going through here. So if you could do me that favor, click the link just below the title of the video. That'll take you back to the morning blog where you can catch that full list of notables. I've already mentioned Pfizer reporting looks like it's pulling back now here this morning, and we also have Mickey D's reporting already this morning. We're going to hear from Masco today. We're going to hear from FELE this morning. We're going to hear from American Tower. That's looking a little bit lower here this morning. CHKP Checkpoint. That one's slipping and moving a little bit lower. We've got JBI in here this morning, also looking lower. So keep an eye on those. A little bit of pressure here maybe coming into the market. Phillips 66 also reporting. And then after the bell, we got the big tech reports. We're going to hear from AMD. AMD will be reporting this afternoon. We're going to hear from Chipotle this afternoon. We're going to hear from Google or Alphabet here this afternoon. So we've got a busy afternoon, along with things like Mondelez. There we go. Mondelez reporting in here. We're going to have Cheesecake Factory reporting. We've got Visa that will be in here this afternoon. So it is a busy day of reports. So be prepared for just about anything. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me this quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, do me that favor, leave that brief comment. That helps the channel to grow. Thank you so much. Clicking the thumbs up button, I truly appreciate it. And I know, I believe me, I understand it gets monotonous leaving a comment, but remember, you can even leave an emoji and that counts. So anything simple in there that shows your engagement with the video helps a lot in the algorithm showing these videos to more folks. So thank you everyone who does take the time to do that. And for those who share these videos out on your social media feed, and also for those of you who continue to support the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link. You guys are truly awesome. Let's take a quick look at a few stocks, and remembering everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. Do your own due diligence, follow your trading rules and your guidelines, because anything can be possible this week, and we should be expecting some pretty big volatile moves here in the market. If we take a look at something that I actually am holding, and so I've got a little bias on this. I'm in this position here on CLF. Pick this up over in here, and as you can see, starting to move up here. Now it is odd. It really is odd to be seeing things like commodity prices rising when the dollar continues to be so strong, moving to the upside in bond yields. But there it is, looking pretty good on CLF. And Nucor had a pretty ugly drop after its earnings, but it also picked up yesterday. You could take a look at things like Steel Dynamics. Steel Dynamics having a great day yesterday, trying to push up and maybe attack these highs up here. So watch that carefully. There's something going on maybe here in steel. Keep a close eye on what's going on here in uranium. Uranium had a really good run to the upside, drifted back and lost the support on CCJ, but you can see popping back up here again today. Remember, if we're going to make AI work, we're going to need lots and lots of power. And right now we don't have enough power to do this. And so they need to create some way to do that, and they're investing billions of dollars into restarting or building your nuclear power. So watch that carefully here, that potential that could push on through. And when you take a look at other things in here like nice little bullish pattern in here, holding trend, looking good there on that. UEC trying to pop back up here yesterday. So a lot of stuff in uranium looking pretty good here. Again, kind of odd with the dollar running like it is to see that strength, but there we have it. Speaking of kind of odd, here we have the dollar getting stronger here today. Right now, dollar futures are up almost 30 cents, continuing to strengthen here on the day as bond yields go up. But that's not deterring those gold folks. And boy, I am loving the physical gold that I hold as this continues to run to the upside. Right now of $4, $5 an ounce at $27.60 an ounce, continuing to push higher here on gold in the future. So keep an eye on that. We're seeing gold, silver, and even those cryptos are moving up. Something is out of whack here in the market. So be prepared for something to break here before too long. We're just building this massive pressure between the market and the bond and commodities. Something's going to have to snap. So let's take a look at a few other stocks in here. International Paper, if it weren't for this earnings report here in International Paper, I would have some interest in here, and actually might have picked it up yesterday and be disappointed this morning with this pullback. But as you can see, international paper holding in here, looking good, bullish pattern. Watch that earnings report. Still liking the way Disney is setting up. Had a nice little bump up yesterday. As this rests or consolidates out to the trend, I would look for that next opportunity there. Docusign, a little bit of a rough patch here, kind of sliding past its trend, but as long as it can hold in this area of this price support, I'd still be watching for that opportunity if we can get some bullishness going in the market for that to push on higher. Keep a close eye on that. One of the things that's been remarkable here is some of the discount retailers like Walmart, beautiful upside trend, holding in here above support. Nice little resting consolidation as it moves toward its earnings on next month on the 19th. But watch that carefully. Could easily find that bullishness and pop right on through there. Now we saw Costco. Costco had a little bit of a fade here, trying to break this downtrend, faded back, but you can see not so much as to raise any concern. As long as we can hold that support, we can get some bullish energy coming up in the market. I would look for that opportunity that Costco could pop on through here, start working its way back up to address some of these high points in the chart. So watch that carefully here on the day. So I apologize, guys, a little bit long-winded today. Didn't cover as many stocks as I normally do, but I want to wish you all of the best today. Thank you so much for listening and being here. Be very careful, be prepared for big gaps in the mornings as we go through these big tech reports through this week. So want to wish you all the best. See you right back here bright and early Wednesday morning. Have a great day, everyone.